Behind me is my collection of PlayStation, which I've amassed for years.
Sony, this means war. Woke mob, this means war.
They think that Asian grown women look like children, and it's ridiculous. It's not their fault the way they look.
Sony, this means war. Woke mob, this means war.
Yo, chat, if you haven't heard, there's war going on. And we're not just talking about the war in the Middle East. No, we're going to talk about GoonerGate, the Great Goon War. Some of you all may have heard this game released recently. It's called Stellar Blade. It's basically a game about where a robot girl tries to save the world. Imagine Nier Automata, but Nier without the good parts. The game released, a lot of people really enjoyed it, and a lot of people lauded it for its lewdness.
Oh my god. Oh.
The devs said when the game released that there would be an uncensored version, not only in Japan, well known as Goon Mecca, but everybody across the world will be able to see Eve, that's the main character, in all her glory exactly how the devs imagined it to be. All uncensored, you're going to see the booty meat wherever and whenever you are. Now, we could talk about the possible sexualization of Eve, the main character in the game. I personally feel like this comes down to the idea of how is it presented? Just having sexuality for sexuality's sake and objectifying women. Obviously, a lot of people really don't like that, but you can obviously have girls in some revealing clothing without it necessarily being that bad. Bayonetta is a great example of that. She can be like eccentric and crazy and everything while still having a personality and being really a really good character while having that type of stuff without it being objectifying. You can do it. 2B has way more personality than Eve does, making the possible sexualization worse. So there was a big discussion about this game before it came out. The fact that people were even talking about it is what led a rally behind this game. A big anti-woke, anti-feminist, those people and for this game as being a game that bucks the system and bucks the woke Western stereotypes that women have to be ugly and stinky and grody and they can be hot and beautiful and impregnable, except for Eve because she's actually just a robot and you cannot get her pregnant. The rally behind this game was led by multiple creators online who think that Western video games are weak and feminist. This led to a lot of these types of like anti-woke gamers even running off the actor Mary Jane in the Insomniac Spider-Man remake for being ugly, and they bullied her into leaving acting specifically because they personally thought that she was too ugly to play Mary Jane and that she was made by a feminist to make women be unattractive to men because they don't want men to like express their God-given right to beat their dick to video game characters, I guess. These people are not good. And they found a new target, and that was Stellar Blade. They all rallied behind Stellar Blade because of this promise that there was going to be an uncensored version of Stellar Blade that was going to be released everywhere, and they thought Eve was hot and she could shake her synthetic booty meat on her alloy skeleton and everybody was going to be happy and the wokes were going to be destroyed. But then the game released and something horrific happened. A day one patch. As you can see, the changes are horrific. This side is the original. This side is the patch. They look nothing like how they used to. Basically, on some of these outfits, there was a little piece of fabric to cover up some of her cleavage. There's a little bit of fabric to cover some of her thighs. Overall, there was no big change. But what did happen is that she was wearing slightly more clothes than she did originally. This sent the Stellar Blade defenders into an absolute frenzy. I didn't notice any changes. You see, you haven't been watching then. Because very clearly, here is one of the big, this is one of the big costumes that they've been using to show people how egregious the censorship in this game has been. Now, just looking at this, a pea-brain like you may not be able to instantly recognize the evil censorship going on with this costume, but a big brain video game enjoyer like myself would be able to very easily tell right here in her breastage. Here, the boobie is very easily shown, but here she has a little piece of fabric covering up some of her cleavage. The censorship is going to make me vomit. In this costume, once again, the horrible censorship is very clearly on display right here. She actually has a bra on this time, and also some more fabric that comes down to cover up some of her hips. More egregious censorship destroying the game. You may think this is a joke, but this is actually very important to the conversation that we're having. Barely anything changed. That's not the point. You see, barely anything changing is not the point. Something changed at all is the point. Okay? The fact that any booty meat is covered is the point. And they consider this egregious censorship, so much so that not only is it something that they don't like, it's actually false advertising by the developer to steal money from them and lie to them about the type of game that they were going to be buying. So bad, in fact, that a petition was made and garnered 80,000, actually, let me update, 81,000 signatures by the time of this recording. I got eyes and I barely see anything. That's not the point. You did see something. And that's why they need to hashtag free Stellar Blade, free booty meat. Freaky ass niggas need to stay their ass inside. Hey. Let's see what Mark Kern has to say about this, all right? A little write-up. Stellar Blade is a phenomenal new game that has just launched on PlayStation 5 worldwide, but it has a problem. The content has been censored from the original trailer version posted by Sony. We, as gamers, want this content back. We relied on it. We made the game the #1 pre-order worldwide because of it. And this is the true game we want. Stellar Blade is more than a game. It has become a cultural beacon for freedom of expression in a time where game publishers like Sony are censoring games more than ever. Stellar Blade was there's a typo. Stellar Blade was a breath of fresh air, and the gamer rallied behind it because it meant things were changing. We believe in the game. We believe in Shift Up, that's the developer, and we are asking to get the game we believed in. Revert the censorship changes, patch the game, and you will find that even more gamers will join you and support you. Gooner rights matter. Gooner rights matter. Gooner rights matter, okay? I would like to show you something. I think it's worth seeing what this person has to say.
There was a promise by Shift Up only days before release that this game would be released uncensored. However, quickly after it was released, we'd see graffiti censored out of the game.
Yeah, okay, so there's something else that I missed, and it is important to talk about. Now, Stellar Blade had graffiti in the game that had the word hard right next to the word R, that obviously in the United States we obviously immediately assume with like the N-word, hard R, right? And so they removed it. They removed the graffiti hard from there. The reason for why is because they don't want to be involved in these types of conversations. They don't want people justifying hard R, like the word hard and R next to each other. They don't want people not liking it. They just don't want it to be a discussion at all in the game, because you don't want to attract people who would defend possibly the idea of hard R in a game. You don't want to attract people who would not like it either. You just don't want that. You probably want people to focus on the actual game that they're playing. Okay. And this was the first straw. They removed how much blood the main character gets covered with when she cuts through enemies. This was the second strike.
A lot of people, including some bad actors, have been trying to basically misrepresent what is going on and what people are actually complaining about. And what we're going to look at in this video, whether it's from game journalists, content creators, or Twitter users, is going to follow the narcissist prayer. Basically,
I love this.
The evolution of someone trying to deflect blame, starting with that didn't happen, and then ending with, well, it did happen and you deserved it. Now, we've been seeing this first part for a while. That didn't happen. We've seen people for really months at this point say over and over again, there's no censorship of Stellar Blade, this isn't happening. Well, now we have confirmation that it is happening, and people are readjusting and moving on to the next step, saying, and if it did happen, well, it wasn't that bad. And they're accomplishing that by trying to intentionally misrepresent what people are complaining about.
So what are they
falsely
mad about?
Advertised to. Okay,
Yes.
They were promised this would be an uncensored release, and now this game has been censored on multiple levels. Not just the outfits, but other aspects of the game that none of these people are acknowledging. And they are so desperate in their attempt to own the gamer chuds on Twitter that they will literally celebrate and excuse acts of censorship and false advertising. It's pathetic. But now we move on to the next stage, basically saying, well, even if this did happen, it's not a big deal.
Now, actually, let's go all the way back up. I love this little narcissist prayer thing that he pulled up. I think it's really funny. But let's actually go all the way back up, because he's going down the list like he's making points. Let's go back up the list and start at the top. I personally believe that it didn't really happen. Now, what we can't say didn't happen is that things changed in the game, but that wasn't what the devs actually intended to have in the game. Now, I don't believe that's censorship. And then if I personally want to wear shorts when I go outside, but then I'm like, these shorts are a little too short. I want to wear I want to wear longer ones. So I put on longer shorts. Did I just censor myself? Or did I just change the clothes that I wanted to wear into something I did actually want to wear? I think it's more of the latter. I think this is really interesting because it touches on the idea of what censorship really is. I think by a plain sort of dictionary definition of censorship, you can make the argument that this is censorship, but I don't believe that that's a good way to understand what censorship is and how it manifests in the world and what people are actually angry about. Because I think when people think of censorship, what they mean is an overarching force coming in to change an original vision of the game that was supposedly going to take place. Now, if it was the case that Eve was supposed to be butt-ass naked throughout the entire game, but then they decided, actually, I want her to wear clothes, and then they made a bunch of costumes, would that be censorship in the game? I personally don't think so. I don't think it's really censorship. I don't believe the dev actually thinks it's much of censorship either. The reason is because I think he kind of misquoted what that dev really had to say. In this article by The Standard, what is Stellar Blade? Why has the game caused so much controversy? They had a little section down here about was Stellar Blade censored? Developer Shift Up claims that this was the final intended version of the costumes. So something interesting that he didn't bring up, what the developer said, was that those changes in the day one patch, those were actually the intended versions of the suits that the developers genuinely wanted. That's what they wanted to be in the game. Not the more revealing ones, but actually the less revealing ones. Now we can talk about, is this robot character's synthetic booty meat more attractive when she's wearing more or less clothes? I don't care to have that conversation. But I will say is that if we're going to talk about specific censorship, I would imagine that what we're talking about is something that falls outside of the vision of what the developers actually wanted, that an outside force told them that they couldn't put in the game to fit a certain standard. And when that hard R came out, they didn't actually want that to be in the game. When people are just placing graffiti everywhere, sometimes mistakes can happen and you didn't actually want that to be there, so they removed it or moved it. When it came to the blood on Eve, what probably happened is that it was too much blood. It was toned up too much and they didn't want the character to be like completely drenched in blood when she goes to kill an enemy. So they toned it down. When these costumes came out, they just didn't look as good to them. That wasn't the original vision. So they added a little bit more clothing to them to fit their original vision. That's what they wanted in the game. Not only that, the developer actually came out to say, we have no plans on changing the designs at all. So somebody actually went up to them while they were having a discussion, and one of the developers who was talking, I think the lead designer for the game was talking, hey, people are talking about the game being censored. Are you thinking about reverting the costumes? He was like, no, actually, this is the original version of these costumes that we wanted to release to gamers. So there is no plans on changing any of the costumes whatsoever. But we're having some discussions about it and no final decision has been made. Does that sound like an outside force came to change the game to suit a different vision of what it is? At the end of the day, they said this game would be uncensored in all versions, including the Japan version. This does not mean that the version that you saw in trailers is going to be the final version of the game. Nobody expects that. Stop acting dumb. We all know that that's not going to be the final version of the game. And this is not some sort of this is not like The Division, where they showed us something wildly, this is not like The Division or like Watch Dogs, where they showed us something wildly different than what we were expecting to see. This is all within the realm of normal changes of a character, and it's not censorship. It's just not censored. So I would go back and say, no, it's not actually happening because I don't believe that this game was censored. I believe they changed it. Yeah, No Man's Sky 2. Actually, you're so right. Cyberpunk as well. Cyberpunk 2. This is nowhere near that. Obviously, this didn't go over well because there's a massive petition. So not only are you able to sign the petition, but also if you're a supporter of the petition, you are also able to make a little video showing people why you signed the petition and you're able to give a little speech. And not only did it happened a decent amount. And there were a bunch of people who wanted to make their voices known.
This petition is not only to free Stellar Blade, but to send a clear message to Sony, Nintendo, and the rest of the publishers in the gaming industry that we players will not tolerate any form of censorship moving forward. Thank you.
I'm really disappointed because as a grown man, I really expected to have at least some type of responsibility to look after myself and do what I want in the comforts of my own home. But yeah, that's it.
Hey Sony, I want you to take off the censor off the games Cellerblade, because I'm looking forward to play this game as well. Because my game won't be here until Wednesday from the mail, and I want things to change and what's going on around the world and stuff. And sign a petition, all right, and stuff.
So true. So true. They're cooking. Sound like Donkey. Don't you do Donkey like that.
This petition is not only to
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean for this to play again. Stop. Thank you.
free Stellar Blade.
Please stop. Thank you. Please stop. But there's more. Actually, there's more. Another petition signer.
Does this look like the body of an incel? Does this look like the home gym of an incel? Does this look like the wife of an incel?
Of course not. Of course not.
I've been a Young Tae Kim fan for 20 years. This is my deluxe Magna Carta. Stop the censorship. We're tired.
He's so right. This guy's cooking, man. He just wants to show off his skinny pecs. Okay, and what's the problem with that? What you can't use your skinny pecs to flex your love of Stellar Blade and Eve's booty meat? Does this look like the wife of an incel? It's a libertarian guy with an Asian wife. He's going crazy. So where's the wife? Don't worry about that. She's not there. He's busy working out in his man cave. Chill.
Hey guys, it's me, Christian.
Hey, Christian.
My name is on the petition. Sony, this means war. Woke mob, this means war. Grums, you have my sword and you have my shield. So let's get this ball rolling and let's finally hashtag free Stellar Blade. Let's end this. God bless.
End the evil. Iconic. He is pretty iconic, I can't lie. Why are they always so cringe? That's only you think that. They're badass for standing up for their fucking video games, okay? And there were many, all right? There were many, and they were coming in on the hour. People were letting their voices known that they do not want to be sold a lie from Stellar Blade, from Sony, from nobody. He had to go up and see that one again. And they kept coming in and they kept coming in and they did not stop. I guess Grum's got his hair light too. Stop it. Don't be mean. Somebody even did a little compilation of them.
Behind me is my collection of PlayStation, which I've amassed for years.
Sony, this means war. Woke mob, this means war.
They think that Asian grown women look like children, and it's ridiculous. It's not their fault the way they look.
Woke propaganda BS.
We can and will cancel PSN.
Abby from The Last of Us, full frontal nudity.
We can and will buy the games used in secondhand.
Full jiggle physics.
The Last of Us Part 2 with the sex scene.
Full hardcore sex scenes.
Last of Us 2 Abby.
Not an ounce of it censored.
Full frontal nude scenes.
Because it appeals to the male gaze. They really need to stop using that.
Why is Stellar Blade censored? That's pretty stupid, man.
This
is not acceptable.
This is wrong. Oh boy.
Can we just get those nipples and vagina bone back? Thank you.
You need to change the game back and leave it alone.
Full jiggle physics. Oh, it's so good. It's so freaking good, man. I love it. So unacceptable. They're all so honest. Did he say vagina bones? Yes, of course, vagina bone, cleavage, vagina bones. We need them all back.
Oh man, so I'm really horny and I'm a real gooner, and I mean this sucks. I need the devs to switch it back because I'm really horny, and I don't think it's fair that they promised this was supposed to be like the gooner game for me, and now I can't goon in my goon cave, and It really sucks.
So true.
Please,
I'm right here. I'm right there
please,
with him.
devs, I don't have a girlfriend and I've never been outside. Please change it back.
Obviously a filthy troll looking to upend this really important protest, this really important thing going on, okay? To upend censorship in media. It needs to stop.
I like games with a simple story. Compelling story, actually. Simple terms, though. Ones that take you in for a ride. But with all this censoring in video games, they're trying to control us by what we take in. Although they're being hypocritical about it because there are other games that they don't even bother doing that with.
So freaking true, man. Oh my gosh. The trolls are so much more eloquent than the gamers. That's not true. They're not eloquent or interesting. They're just losers looking to ruin something that's incredibly important. I mean, just look at this guy. There's nothing cool about him.
I signed this petition because I believe Stellar Blade should not be censored. One of my favorite games of all time is Nier Automata by Yoko Taro. This game is not censored, and I can look up the skirt of 2B. Please support this petition. Please support. Please support. Oh.
There's nothing cool about it. Stop. Take this serious. We demand to be taken seriously. This is a serious thing. Just wait until something that you like gets censored. Let's see how you like it, huh? After all these trolls started to infiltrate the video section where people could leave their heartfelt messages about why they care about this very important issue, Grums turned off the ability for you to leave video responses. They were right here. After he saw what was happening, he turned them off. That's why if you go on this whole page, you won't see them anymore. They're gone. He actually turned them off. You can't see them. They're gone. They're gone. They're gone. They're gone. I'll miss them. Bye-bye, Freeze Peach. So here we are. Here we are. Trapped in a world full of censorship. But in all seriousness, I think censorship is something that we do need to talk about. And I think it is pretty important. Games from other countries do get censored here in the US for almost no reason. I mean, Nintendo games, especially Kirby games, Kirby is made to look like less mad. Now, does it matter a decent amount? No, but in other situations, it kind of does. We can have a completely different game. It could still be good, but it wasn't the original vision. And I think that is something worth talking about. But this is not like those other situations. This is the dev's original vision. Sometimes people actually don't want their games to be more sexual. Sometimes they actually want them to be a little less sexual. Sometimes they want them to be maybe sexual even in a different way. Not every single vision for a game is for you to see as much titty as possible. Sometimes that's actually not what the devs were going for. And I think the faster we learn that, the faster this knee-jerk reaction that everything that I personally don't like has to be some great evil cast against me in order to destroy the things that I hold dear, the better I think we'll get at being able to understand where these devs come from and the idea of censorship at all. But this isn't it. Okay, I just had to do that segment because it was just too fun. It was just way too fun. I'm sorry. When I saw all those clips, I was like, chat's gonna love this one.